So let me ask you guys a question. If you're sick, who would you go to? The baker or the mechanic? Now I'm sure you guys are thinking, this is a silly question. I mean, what sense does it make if I'm sick to go to a baker or a mechanic? Of course I'd go to a doctor. Now let me ask you a follow-up question. When you get to the doctor, what would you do? There's two options. A, tell him your symptoms, he writes you a prescription, you go pick it up and take the medication. Or B, when he writes you the prescription, you flick it back in his face, put your legs up on the table and say, I don't agree with you. Again, I know what you're thinking. Option B is ridiculous. None of us do this. We go to the doctor, we tell him our symptoms. As soon as he prescribes us the medication, we take it and we leave. Now here's the reason why you thought both the questions I asked were somewhat ridiculous. It's because as human beings, we're rational, right? We're intelligent beings. And therefore, we know that when we're sick, we'll go to the authority, the one who knows how to make us better, and that is the doctor. And once we get to the doctor, we know that once we've recognized him and seen him as the authority, the one that knows medicine, that we're going to obey what he says. We're going to submit to him and obey. We're not going to argue with him. We're not going to challenge him. We're going to just take the medication and leave. And we do this throughout our lives. Whether you're driving down a road which says 40 and there's police cameras there, you're going to drive at 40. You're going to submit to the authority. Or even when you're on a plane and the pilot tells you to fasten your seatbelts because you're going to hit some turbulence, or you're going to fasten your seatbelts because you're going to submit to authority, the one that knows best. Now, how does all of this link to what you do when something doesn't logically make sense to you in the Quran? Well, here's the point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate authority. He's not another person. He is the creator of everything and everyone that exists. And therefore, He is also the all-knowing, the all-powerful, the all-wise, the one that wants best for us. And when we recognize this is what we have to do. The most intelligent thing we could do as human beings, as rational beings, is once we've recognized who Allah is and that the Quran is from Allah, then whatever He says must necessarily be true, and therefore we must submit and obey, even though at times we may come across passages or something we read that may not make sense to us. And it may just be that we don't have the ability or the understanding at that moment to derive the meanings or the wisdom behind why Allah is telling us to do a particular thing. Or it may just be that it's beyond us. Some things we will find in Islam that we just can't rationalize. Because at the end of the day, we are limited human beings who have limited rational faculties, and our job is not to understand everything Allah has dictated or try to get into the mind of God in some way, but instead it's to submit and obey. It's about humility, not arrogance. But submitting to something in the Quran which you don't understand is not irrational or illogical, because we have foundationally understood who Allah is and who the author of the Quran is. And once you've understood this, then the most rational and intelligent thing a human being could do is submit, regardless of whether you understand something or you don't. That being said, Allah has given us a revelation which makes sense on so many different levels. Intuitively, rationally, emotionally, it fulfills you as a human being. So it's seldom you'll come across a passage or something that really doesn't make sense to you. But even if it does, now you know how to deal with it. I'll leave you guys with this. Until next time, take care.